Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Friday, May 2nd. We're here, we're breaking it down. We got a big 12-game slate to go over tonight. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, and come join us at LineStar. We do have a 7-day free trial through the app stores, Android or iOS app store. You can get 7 free days. We also have a new app. If you have not already heard, we have the Prop Optimizer app. And it is on iOS and as of yesterday on Android as well. If you haven't tried that out, please download it. Props Optimizer, brought to you by good old LineStar and our fam. Now, let's dig in. As always, we're going to start off with yesterday's perfect lineups, the winning lineups, and then we will follow that by the pitchers to consider today and some stacks to consider today. One thing I do want to say right now for this slate today, make sure you look at weather before the start. There are a few spots that are a little dicey, so make sure you do that. In the perfect lineup on DraftKings, we got Zach Gallen, Sean Burke. Both of them had a game. You could pay down at pitcher yesterday, and then hitting-wise, 2-man Red stack, 2-man Royals stack, 2-man White Sox stack. Again, this is for the main slate, so it was the daytime slate, the one we did not cover on yesterday's show. So just a reminder there, but 247 was the total. The winning lineup went to Hoop. Congrats to you, Hoop. And we had Gallen, we had Ray, we had a 5-man KC, 3-man Chicago Cubs stack. That Tucker, Suzuki, Happ trio just came absolutely through. KC put up 8. Congrats, Hoop. Now let's get into the good old FanDuel perfect lineup. We had Gallen. We had a 2-man Royals, a 2-man White Sox, then one-offs from Reds, Suzuki, and Brian Reynolds, and Juan Soto. The winning lineup, once again, was MH. I think he's won like 3 times in the last week. He is on a heater, and he had Lugo as the pitcher, only 6.9% owned. He got it done. He went 6 innings, just did enough. And then we had a 4-man KC stack, 3-man Cubs with a one-off of Jose Ramirez. So old 4-3-1 got it done again on FanDuel. And I think every time MH has won, he has won with this lineup construction. Maybe I need to play a little more 5-3-1, a little less 4-2-2s or 4-2-1-1, or maybe a little less 4-4s. But anyways, 4-3-1 gets it done once again. Now, let's dig into today's slate a bit, see what we can uncover here. Starting on DraftKings, our highest owned pitcher, Sonny Gray, 8,300, 19% owned versus the Mets. Now, we got a low game total here of 7.5. I honestly think Gray he's a little bit too cheap, yes. But I don't love the spot. One, there is some rain situation. We need to pay attention to that. 20% chance of postponement is what we have right here. So we need to watch the weather throughout the day. Make sure there's not going to be a delay in game, which is really the worry here for Sonny Gray, because that would mean his day gets cut short a little bit. But it's also a very tough spot versus the Mets. Mets have been solid versus righties, 257 average, 170 ISO. The BVP data heavily favors the Mets. 88 plate attempts. They're hitting 303, 250 ISO. 6 home runs and 88 plate attempts, and then only a 20% K rate. I don't really love going to Gray here. I think there's a ton of pitchers we can choose from. While I don't want to say like totally X him out, he might be going a little over-owned right now. Next, we got Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray does look like he will be the highest owned on FanDuel at 8,400. He's 86 over here. He's going to still come with a hefty ownership for sure. I think he is probably slightly underpriced here. Ray has been decent. He 4.59 FIP over his last 5 starts, 25% K rate. We know there's major upside here. And he's averse to Colorado Rockies, who just simply can't hit outside of Colorado, let alone, even hit in Colorado. They've been pretty poor. I'm sorry, Zero in Denver, but that is the truth. And you know it from your ticket prices you got to pay when you go to the game. Issue, he's averaging 31% less at home. Doesn't totally make sense, though, because it is a pitcher-friendly park, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. The thing that I would worry about with Robbie Ray, 40.9% fly balls, 35% hard contact, 90-mile-an-hour average exit velocity, 8 barreled balls. The StatCast data is a little scary. Now, Ray has always had some issues with some of the StatCast data. So he is somehow able to show that huge upside even with it. So I'm fine taking a little Ray here. I think he's very interesting. He projects pretty well. 20.5 or 25.8% combined K rate at 8,600 is interesting. Next, we got Max Fried, 9,500, 18% owned. I'm actually absolutely fine going with some Fried. He has been very good. 3.4 FIP over the last 20, 2.94 over the last 5. His K rate, he's, an average bat misser, 23% K rate, but he can be efficient and work deep into games, and that's where a lot of his points come from. And with that efficiency and working deeper into games, the K rate isn't quite as important. StatCast data looks fine. He's in a good spot. He has shut down this Rays lineup before. The splits are in his favor. Rays have not been hitting lefties. 194 average, 289 WOBA, 155 ISO, 25% K rate. I think it's an interesting spot for Fried. I'm definitely going to have some. Tariq Skubal, 10.5 K. In a great spot versus the Angels, who are striking out 31% versus lefties. Love this spot for Skubal. Absolutely fine getting there. In fact, he's probably my favorite pitcher on this slate. Next, we got Brian Wu, 8,400, 16% owned. Very interested in Brian Wu. My issue with him is he is way worse away. 52% less fantasy points when away. Now, he's been a very good pitcher. 3.56 FIP over his last 20. 3.28 over his last 5. 23% K rate for both. There's major upside here. The Rangers have had a little bit of issue on offense. They're trying to shake things up. Send Berger down for a reset. Who knows if that, revitalizes them at all? Probably not. But this Rangers offense is having some issues, and they definitely need to do something to come together and get it going. I don't mind having some Brian Wu. He's priced, efficiently. He's priced fine. The ceiling is there, and he's not that high owned. I'm fine taking a little bit, but him being away does worry me a little bit. Framber Valdez, 8,800 versus the White Sox. Obviously, just a fantastic spot versus the White Sox. Now, he's struggled a little recently. 3.91 FIP over his last 5, 22% K rate. That's over a 2.93 FIP and a 26% K rate over his last 20. StatCast data is a little bit scary. 38% hard contact, 8 barreled balls. So, he's allowing some hard contact here, but 48% ground balls. Balls staying on the ground as it should with Framber. That's when he's at his best. Splits are obviously in his favor, but the BVP data is not the best. 0.279 average. Very low ISO though. Very low WOBA, 22% K rate. I'm fine getting some Framber. It's too good of a spot versus this White Sox team not to. But he is another guy that's not as good when he is away. 39% less when he is away. Now, he hasn't had that problem, always for his career. And maybe we shouldn't look too much into that, but it's worth stating. Yoshi Yamamoto, guy has been absolutely incredible this season, and he is versus a Braves team that has come alive a little bit, and the Braves splits are looking solid, but Yamamoto has been different. 2.76 FIP over his last 20, 2.48 over his last 5. Over the last 5, almost a 34% K rate. StatCast data looks unbelievable. I'm fine getting to some Yamamoto even against the Braves here. 27% combined K rate is interesting. He's 10.3K, but super, super low owned for the quality of pitcher he is. Clay Holmes, 8,100 versus the Cardinals. Clay Holmes has been unbelievable. 2.72 FIP over last 20 starts, 1.92 over his last 5. 29% K rate. K rate solid. Once again, we do have a little weather issue to watch in St. Louis. StatCast data looks great. Splits look fine. He's done good against St. Louis before. Just faced them 6 innings, 1 earned run, 6 Ks. My issue with Clay Holmes, one, they're keeping him to like 90 pitches. He's only gone 6 innings once. So on FanDuel, maybe you need to downgrade him a little bit because the chance of hitting a quality start is lower. But we're talking DraftKings on here, and 24% combined K rate at 8,100 with these type of FIP numbers is very interesting. I don't mind having a little bit of him. Joe Ryan, 9K versus the Red Sox. The wind is blowing out. Temperatures are nice. So, we know that it comes much more hitter friendly in those situations. 3.66 FIP, 3.9 over the last 5, 29% K rate. The upside is here. His StatCast data is very, very ugly though. And in a hitter friendly situation becomes a little dangerous there. But interested in Joe Ryan just because he's such a good pitcher and going so low owned. Chris Bassett has been incredible this year. He has fallen off a little bit the last 2 games versus Houston and the Yankees, but 2.58 FIP, 27% K rate. StatCast data looks great. Splits are, fine. 245 average, 310 WOBA. I'm fine there. BVP data is okay. 23.7% combined K rate, 9,300 is interesting. Low owned. He's been good. Why not? Michael Wacha. Guy has been very good this year. 2.8 FIP, 20% K rate. StatCast data looks good. Baltimore Orioles have struggled a little offensively, even though we know they are a solid team. But Baltimore has had the best of the Wacha. So little interested in here, but also a little scared because of that. 104 plate attempts, 300 average, 360 ISO. They got to him April 5th. They got to him last year on April 1. They've had his number a little bit. So there's a little bit of hesitation with clicking his name, but I'm also a little interested just because he has been solid. On to FanDuel, high-owned spots. We got Robbie Ray, Skubal, and Valdez. All of them I'm fine with. I don't want to fade any of them. Ray is too cheap here on FanDuel for sure. Yamamoto, too good of a pitcher not to consider. Max Fried, 41-point projection is right up there with Skubal, and he's going super low owned, so I think you got to consider. Bassett has the ceiling at 9K to be usable here. The issue, that projection's down to 32, so you're giving up, 3 points, over 3 points to Robbie Ray and salary. Little hard to click that button, but he could definitely come through, and Robbie Ray is high owned, so there's some reasons to try and get off him if you can. Now, let's grab some stacks. Let's get over to high owned stacks. We got the Royals versus Dean Kremer. Makes a ton of sense to go here. Royals offense might be finally waking up, so it's something to watch there. 62% owned is not a reason to get off them. Kremer has been terrible. 6.01 FIP over his last 5 starts. I'm fine going there, and that bullpen has not been as good as it has been in years prior. Toronto versus Logan Allen. Logan Allen has not been that great. 5.57 FIP over his last 20, 4.35 over his last 5. Toronto offense has had some big games recently. I'm fine having a little bit of there. Highest projected. We got Dodgers versus Grant Holmes. I mean, it is the Dodgers. Grant Holmes hasn't been good. 5.82 FIP. There's definitely probably going to be a bomb or two given up by Grant Holmes. So Dodgers make some sense, especially at, mild ownership. Just try and differentiate your lineup a little bit so you don't have to pay down a pitcher if you're using the Dodgers. Highest value. We got KC. We got Seattle versus Jack Leiter. I think that's a little interesting. And Seattle offense away from their stadium has been much better than at home, so some interest there. Colorado, there's some leverage versus Robbie Ray, and they're popping up at 2.5x value. Little interest there. Highest ceiling, we got Cubs, we got the Dodgers. Cubs have been hitting everybody. Quinn Prester has been meh. Average MLB pitcher this year, 4.35 FIP. Last 20, 5.33. Cubs can definitely get to him. Little interest there. Obviously, some interest in the Dodgers. And our highest leverage stacks, we got Atlanta versus Yamamoto. Can Atlanta get to Yamamoto? Absolutely. Can they hit him for 8+ runs? It might be a little hard. If they can get him for 4 and he only goes 5 innings, and then they can get to the bullpen, there's some outs for Atlanta. I don't want to say absolutely no, but it is less likely than other stacks to hit. Milwaukee versus Ben Brown. Ben Brown has big upside, but he also can get touched up a little bit. I don't mind some Milwaukee. I also don't mind some Ben Brown as far as a low-owned, different pitcher if you want to go there. And the Cubs are popping up a bit as well. Clicking on the teams tab. We didn't even talk about the A's, and they have the highest implied run total versus Miami. Bullpen behind Belozo is not very good. Makes some sense to want to go with Atlanta or with the Athletics. Yankees versus Tampa Bay and Ryan Papoy. Papoy was solid last year. He has not been solid so far this year, allowing a high average exit velocity, high hard contact rate, and Yankees have been hitting the ball hard. Not a great combination. Also, nice weather, winds blowing out in New York. Dodgers versus Grant Holmes. We talked about that. Giants 4.9 versus Colorado. Senzatella has been awful. The bullpen's not great. Makes some sense to want some Giants bat. Baltimore 4.8. They've had Waka's number. Makes some sense to want to go there. Houston 4.7 versus Cannon. Cannon 5.74 ERA, 41% average or 91% average exit velocity. And the bullpen behind him is awful. Houston makes some sense. Cubs, we talked about. Toronto, we talked about. Boston, nice hitting weather in Boston. Joe Ryan, StatCast data is not great, and hard contact a little bit high. And, that'll pretty much do it for us today, guys. You all have a good one. Take all that information as you will, and hopefully you guys have great luck tonight. Let's make some money. We will be back with more next week. You all have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Let's go. Peace.